You know that feeling when you're staring at your phone for 20 minutes, typing and deleting the same text message over and over again? The one where you're trying to tell someone you like them, but every version sounds either too desperate, too casual, or just plain weird. Here's what's fascinating. There's actually a psychological science behind expressing romantic interest without making things awkward. And what you're about to learn might completely flip your approach to your next crush. Today, we're breaking down the most effective, research backed ways to tell someone you like them without making it weird. We've got 12 game changing strategies that range from subtle psychological tricks to bold moves that actually work. And number 8, most people get this completely wrong, but when you nail it, it creates an instant connection that feels totally natural. So grab your notes because by the end of this video, you'll never have to stress about confessing your feelings again. Let's start with something that sounds almost too simple to work. Say their name more often. Here's what's wild. Neuroscience research has shown that hearing our own name literally lights up specific brain regions tied to self-awareness and personal significance. It's like your brain has a special VIP section just for your own name. Here's how this looks in real life. Instead of, hey, what's up? Try, hey, Sarah, what's up? When you're telling a story, weave their name in naturally. So, Sarah, you'll never believe what happened to me today. The key is making it feel organic, not like you're reading from a telemarketer script. This works because it signals that you're thinking about them as an individual, not just another person in your social circle. And here's what's wild. Most people don't even consciously notice you're doing it, but they'll walk away feeling more connected to you. But that's just the beginning. Next up, master the art of active remembering. Carl Rogers pioneered the concept of empathic listening in his person-centered therapy work, the idea that truly understanding someone creates deeper connections. But here's the secret sauce. It's not just about listening in the moment, it's about bringing up those details later. Picture this. They mention loving a specific coffee shop 3 weeks ago, and then you text them a photo when you walk by it saying, "This made me think of you." Or they tell you about their obsession with a particular band, and you send them a link to an article about that band's new album. This isn't stalker behavior. It's showing that what they say matters enough to you that it sticks. You're basically saying you're important enough to occupy space in my memory without actually saying it. And this is where it gets really interesting. Here's where things get fun. Create your own inside language. The mere exposure effect, basically, we like things more the more we encounter them, applies to shared references and inside jokes too. Research on relationship development shows that couples who develop unique communication patterns report stronger emotional bonds. This could be as simple as giving them a playful nickname that only you use. Maybe they mentioned they're obsessed with true crime podcasts, so you start calling them detective in a fun way. Or maybe something funny happened during your first conversation that becomes your shared reference point. The psychology here is brilliant. You're creating a microculture that only exists between the two of you. Every time you reference this inside joke or use that special nickname, you're reinforcing the idea that you two have something unique together. It's like building a tiny secret club with a membership of exactly 2 people. But wait until you hear about this next one. Now let's talk about strategic physical touch. And before you panic, this isn't about being creepy. Studies on appropriate touch in social settings have found that brief, light contact can significantly increase positive responses and perceived attractiveness, but only when it follows specific guidelines. We're talking about light. Brief touches in non-threatening areas, a gentle touch on the arm when you're making a point, a playful nudge when they make a joke, or letting your hands brush when you're passing them something. The key word here is appropriate, and this only works if you're reading their body language and they seem comfortable. If they lean away or seem tense, back off immediately. But when done right, this creates a subconscious association between your presence and positive physical sensations. And here's the crazy part. People often can't pinpoint why they feel more drawn to you after these interactions. They just know they do. Speaking of subconscious connections, let's dive into something called strategic vulnerability. Brené Brown's research on connection shows that appropriate self-disclosure creates emotional intimacy, but there's a specific formula that works best for romantic situations. Instead of trauma dumping or oversharing, try sharing something that's meaningful but not overwhelming. Maybe you tell them about a goal you're working toward or a fear you have about your career or something you're genuinely excited about. The magic happens when you share something real, then ask them a related question, like, "I've been really nervous about this presentation at work. I always get anxious speaking in front of people. Do you ever get nervous about stuff like that?" This creates a moment of genuine connection while opening the door for them to be vulnerable back. When someone matches your level of openness, that's often a sign they're interested in deepening the connection. But here's what most people don't realize. Here's a move that feels almost like cheating because it's so effective. Become genuinely interested in their world. Arthur Aaron's famous 36 questions that lead to love study showed that asking personal questions and showing genuine curiosity can accelerate feelings of connection between people. But here's how you apply this practically. If they mention they're into rock climbing, don't just nod and change the subject. Ask follow-up questions. What got you into that? What's the scariest climb you've ever done? Then, and this is crucial, remember what they tell you and bring it up later. Maybe you see an article about a famous climbing spot and send it to them, or you ask how their latest climbing adventure went. You're not pretending to be interested in rock climbing. You're genuinely interested in what makes them light up. The difference is everything, and they'll feel it. Now, this next strategy might surprise you. Here's something that might surprise you. Use the power of anticipation through delayed gratification. You know how intermittent reinforcement creates stronger responses than constant reward? Think about slot machines. They're addictive precisely because you don't know when the next payoff is coming. This doesn't mean playing hard to get or being manipulative. Instead, it means being intentional about your communication rhythm. If they text you immediately, maybe wait a little while before responding. Not to be gamey, but to show you have a life outside of your phone. When you do respond, make it count with thoughtful replies. The psychology here is fascinating. When someone has to wait slightly for your attention, they value it more when they get it. But the key is consistency. You want to be reliably responsive, just not instantly available 24/7. And this leads us to the big one that trips everyone up. Here's the big one that most people completely mess up: the art of the non-confession confession. Instead of the terrifying "I have feelings for you" conversation, try what relationship therapists call interest testing. This sounds like, I've been thinking it might be fun to check out that new restaurant downtown. Like, would you want to go with me? Or, I got 2 tickets to this concert next month and immediately thought of you. You're not technically asking them on a date, but you're creating an opportunity that could feel date-like if they're interested. The brilliance here is that it gives them an easy out if they're not feeling it. Oh, I can't that night, but thanks. While also giving them a clear opening if they are. That sounds amazing. When were you thinking? And here's what's wild about this approach. It often leads to them bringing up the "what are we" conversation naturally, which takes all the pressure off you. But there's another psychological trick that works even better. Let's talk about something called environmental anchoring. You know how certain songs can instantly transport you back to a specific moment? The same principle applies to places and shared experiences. Our brains create powerful associations between emotions and environments. Instead of always meeting at the same coffee shop or bar, suggest activities that create unique memories. Maybe there's a local farmer's market you've never been to, or a hiking trail with a great view, or even just a different neighborhood to explore. The goal is to create positive associations between you and new experiences. When they think back on that amazing afternoon exploring downtown, you're part of that memory. This works because novel experiences trigger dopamine release. And when you're present during those dopamine hits, they start associating you with feeling good. It's like positive conditioning, but way more fun. Now, here's something that sounds counterintuitive, but works incredibly well. Here's something that sounds counterintuitive but works incredibly well. Master the strategic compliment. Research on interpersonal attraction suggests that compliments about character traits and choices are perceived as more genuine and attractive than compliments about appearance. Instead of "you look great today," which is nice but forgettable, try "I love how passionate you get when you talk about your work," or "you have such a good sense of humor. You always know exactly what to say to make people laugh." These compliments show that you're paying attention to who they are as a person, not just how they look. And here's the crazy part. When you compliment someone's character, they start to see those traits as more important to their identity, which makes them value your opinion more. It's like you're helping them see the best version of themselves. But this next one is where the real magic happens. Now let's dive into what researchers call reciprocal self-disclosure escalation. Basically, it's the psychological principle that people mirror the level of personal information you share, and you can use this strategically. Start with something slightly more personal than surface-level small talk, but nothing too heavy. Maybe you share a funny childhood memory, or talk about a goal you're working toward, or mention something you're genuinely excited about. The key is to watch how they respond. If they match your level of openness with their own story, That's a green light to go slightly deeper next time. If they deflect or change the subject, pull back to lighter topics. This creates a natural progression of intimacy that feels organic rather than forced. You're basically building emotional intimacy brick by brick, and each brick they add tells you they're interested in building something with you. And finally, let's talk about the power of what I call future focused language. John Gottman's research on successful relationships shows that couples who naturally use we language and make future oriented statements together have higher relationship satisfaction. This doesn't mean talking about marriage on the second date, it means using language that implies a future connection. We should check out that new movie when it comes out, or I think you'd love this book. I'll lend it to you when I'm done, or next time we hang out, we have to go to that place you mentioned. The word we is incredibly powerful because it implies partnership and shared experience. You're not being presumptuous, you're being optimistic about continued connection. And here's what's fascinating: when someone doesn't correct your we language or seems comfortable with future oriented statements, that's often their way of showing interest without having to explicitly state it. So there you have it, 12 research-backed ways to tell someone you like them without making it weird. The key themes here: authenticity, attention to their responses, and building connection gradually, rather than dropping a feelings bomb. Remember, the goal isn't to manipulate someone into liking you back. It's about expressing your interest in a way that feels comfortable for both of you and gives them space to respond honestly. Which of these strategies are you most excited to try? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more psychology-backed dating advice that actually works.